What is up, everybody? Oh man, we have the playoffs. We have the start or sit show for the playoffs, and yeah, with it being the holidays, I am actually on my own. I'm on my own for the first time ever this year on a start or sit show. I miss doing these solo. So make sure you guys get your friends in, get those questions in, and let's get this show kicked off here in a second. Going to give everybody a chance to get in here and get some things shared over. So give me some time real quick as I buy it. What's going on, everybody? Happy holidays, by the way. Let's see. It's into fantasy football discussion. What's going on, guys? How y'all doing there, guys and girls, I should say. And yeah, here we go. Let's do this. All right, let's kick the show off. We're shared. We're good to go.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Chase Vernon.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into, another start or sit show. I'm Chase. I'm your host, and I'm going solo today. So make sure you guys get those questions in there. Keep me busy. I see Mike has one coming in. We will get to that absolutely. But before we get to that, I want to bring up a couple of different inactives and active reports that I'm seeing come across my timeline, coming across the RotoWire feeds, and a few that stand out to me. Players that you want to make sure you get out of your lineups. I'm going to start out with Deandre Swift. Deandre Swift is going to be out this game. It's somewhat disappointing because the Atlanta Falcons are allowing pass-catching running backs to torch these guys time and time again. I was hoping to get some Deandre Swift in there, get some, some third down usage at least. I know it's going to be tough with a lot of different COVID issues going around the league, so I was hoping to get some Deandre Swift. He is going to be out. Somebody else that I do want to bring up is for the New York Jets. Their middle defensive tackle, I believe I saw, was out. He's not on the reports yet. However, I think that's going to be massive for James Robinson. James Robinson is somebody that I've been getting a lot of questions about on the week thus far, and I liked him a lot going into this week. It is so much sweeter now that we're seeing a few more injuries to the Jets. I think the Jets have been somewhat underrated thus far on the season. So, it's something as to where a lot of their starters are out, and the teams have been playing well for Robert Saleh. But this week up against Jacksonville, the line has been all over the place, swinging all the way from Jets -1 to Jacksonville -2 or -3. The line right now is sitting at, let's see where we have the money line sitting at. It's sitting at +2.5 for Jacksonville. I love Jacksonville in this matchup. I think that they're going to run the ball a ton. I think that James Robinson is going to see a ton of touches, and he is going to be an auto start for me moving into this week. Also, don't forget Brian Schottenheimer took over for the play calling. Brian Schottenheimer is the same guy who was giving 300-plus carries to Chris Carson, letting Russell Wilson not cook time and time again. He's a very run-heavy coach with a head coach now, or an interim head coach over there with Bevel. who loves to work off the play action fake, but primarily run as well. So we're going to see a ton of volume from James Robinson this week. He's a massive start for me. I'll bring up one more player that's kind of standing out to me as an inactive, but it's somebody who could be active going forward, and that's Cam Akers. I know that he's still a little bit away for you guys. There is some slight chance that he plays, and if you guys have a Week 18 final, which I don't recommend doing, but if you do have him, he is worth a pickup for that final week of the season. But that's great for dynasty owners as well. Glad to see that Cam Akers is at least getting on the inactive report, and he's off the long-term IR. So let's go ahead and hop on to some of these questions. I do see that Mike Peterson, what's going on, man? Merry Christmas to you too. Need to start two: Jordan Howard, Claypool, Hunter Henry, or Tyler Johnson. So Jordan Howard had some gaps to run through last week, and these gaps were massive. I was watching the game trying to dissect, what was going on, and Jordan Howard just had hole after hole after hole to run through. This week, he has a very advantageous matchup up against I believe it's the Giants. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, he has the Giants over there. Giants, great matchup for running backs. However, I think that it still will be the Miles Sanders show. Miles Sanders, last time they faced off, I believe, had 9 carries for 64 yards. I think they're going to continue to utilize him in not maybe a workhorse route, but he's going to see significantly more touches than Jordan Howard. Of course, the hopes is that he falls into the end zone, where they line up, inside the 5-yard line, or the green zone as some call it, and Jordan Howard gets a couple touchdowns. Either way, you still have the threat of Jalen Hertz. You still have the threat of Miles Sanders. I mean, even Kenny Gainwell was getting touches inside the red zone from time to time. So I do not like Jordan Howard this week. Meanwhile, Claypool, man, this guy has been all over the map this season. And the Kansas City defense has been amazing over the past 6 or 7 weeks, I believe. Sure, they've played some questionable quarterbacks, but they have faced some pretty good ones as well and held them to very minimal points. I believe the over-under on Ben Roethlisberger passing yards is 248.5. And it's kind of funny because I was like, damn, dude, this is a smash on the under. You got to take the under on 248.5 yards for Big Ben. I mean, he's only hit that half the time, over the past, I believe he's hit it 5 of the past 9 weeks, but he hasn't faced very many great defenses. He faced the Chargers while the Chargers were falling apart. He's faced Cincinnati, but that's division rival. So I never want to try and base those type of statistics or analytics on division rivals because they do play multiple times each year. So they're kind of outlier weeks. But then I looked at it and I saw the Big Ben in every single one that he's hit the over on over the past 9 games. So 5 of those games that he's hit the over on, he's done it away from home. He hasn't hit it a single time while he's been home, but away from home, he's hitting that 248.5 mark. And whether that has to do with game script or just the fact of not being able to run the ball, it's something as to where I believe that Claypool could be viable this week, but he is risky moving forward up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I said, have a phenomenal defense as of late. I do believe Pittsburgh's going to have to score. Claypool will likely play a role in that. Najee Harris for me, although he hasn't been playing great lately, is an auto start. Deontay Johnson, I want to roll out. Claypool is a little bit more questionable for me. But let's move on to Hunter Henry and Tyler Johnson. I'll break down those two and let you know which ones to go with after. So Hunter Henry is sitting there in a matchup up against the Bills. I believe that the Patriots are going to focus on taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, creating turnovers. And I think that's going to create a massive game for Devin Singletary, who's been a workhorse. The past week, I believe Matt Breida only had 1 carry. Zach Moss was a healthy scratch, and Devin Singletary saw either 22 snaps or 22 carries. I think it was 22 carries. So Devin Singletary seeing a workload like this and facing the Patriots, who like to bring blitzes off the edge, should allow Devin Singletary to see the outside. And if that's the case, we're going to see a lot of rushing attempts, which is going to create less offensive plays. And the game script's going to be slowed down because we already know the Patriots are going to run the ball a ton. With that being said, the Bills have been susceptible up against the running backs so far on the season, or as of late, I should say. And this could create many opportunities inside the red zone where Hunter Henry thrives. So Hunter Henry should be in a position to where he can actually get you quite a few touchdowns in this matchup up against the Bills. And I mean, the Bills could end up shutting down. Well, I believe Nelson Aguilar was out, so Kendrick Bourne and And Jacoby Myers, of course, the wide receiver position. I think that Hunter Henry is in play for a touchdown in this matchup. I think he sees probably about 30 receiving yards. So if that's what you want, maybe 3 receptions, 30 receiving yards, and a touchdown, that's probably what you're going to get from Hunter Henry. Meanwhile, Tyler Johnson is going to be taking over likely a combination of the slot role and the role outside. Antonio Brown is the one to play in this matchup. However, if you had Tyler Johnson, I don't hate it. The thing that I hate is Tyler Johnson up against a tough Panthers defense, who's been a little bit worse as of late, but has still been a pretty solid team overall. Is Tampa Bay going to score? Is Tom Brady going to pass? If he does pass, is he going to go to Tyler Johnson? He seemed very frustrated with not only Tyler Johnson, but the whole offense last week. So that's why I like Antonio Brown so much coming into this matchup. So out of these 3, if I had to start one, I'm knocking Jordan Howard out. I don't want anything to do with him. Claypool and Tyler Johnson are risky. Meanwhile, Hunter Henry is touchdown dependent. So if you need upside, if you're somebody that needs to score mass amount of points because the projected points against you, or it looks like your team is going to wipe the floor with you, I think Claypool you have to roll out there with the possibility that he sees 4 targets or 4 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown, maybe 2, with that upside. Meanwhile, Tyler Johnson, I think, is a lock regardless if you need upside or floor. And then Hunter Henry, if you need floor, believe it or not, is probably above Claypool for me, although he is touchdown dependent. I just think it's very, very likely that he sees at least 2 to 3 red zone targets or targets even inside the 10 from Mac Jones, who's pretty much hyper efficient while in the red zone. So if you need a floor, I'm going Hunter Henry, Tyler Johnson. If you need a ceiling, I'm going Claypool and Tyler Johnson. What's up, Jamie, man? Merry Christmas to you. I did have a great Christmas. I hope you all did as well. Make sure y'all get these questions in the chat, of course. And when y'all win, when you guys win your leagues this year, right? Because you're coming to the Starter Sit show every single week. You've been asking these questions. I want to make sure that you guys go and get yourself a title belt from Trophy Smack. That's right, a title belt from Trophy Smack. Now I'm out of focus because I had to lean over, didn't I? Of course, I'm out of focus now. What else would it be? Go get yourself a title belt from Trophy Smack, trophysmack.com, right? You can get one of these title belts. And if you enter in promo code CIRCLE, right? Enter in promo code CIRCLE. You actually get a free ring along with your title belt. That ring is valued at $60. Use promo code CIRCLE at trophysmack.com. Make sure the ring or the trophy, you can get a trophy too. Add the ring and the trophy into your cart. Put promo code CIRCLE. You get $60 off or pretty much the ring for free. Go check it out, trophysmack.com. All right, let's see. Jamie, he has Sony Michel or Michael Carter. All right, so I like Michael Carter. I think Michael Carter is going to be a very, very good running back for the Jets for a very long time. I never think he's going to be a bell cow, but I think that he's going to be somebody that's going to be very viable on third downs. I think he's going to offer a ton of upside in the passing game, and you're going to see him involved in the offense for the next 4 to 5 years. This week, however, up against Jacksonville, I know Jacksonville is susceptible up against running backs. However, they're not susceptible to pass-catching running backs. I believe they're ranked in the top 10 for the dump-off containment efficiency score. You guys can find that over there at fantasyintervention.com/DOCE. The dump-off containment efficiency score, I believe they're still top 10. I don't have that pulled up right now. Michael Carter in this one with Zach Wilson not checking it down near enough gets me a little bit nervous. Meanwhile, Sony Michel, I know they're playing the hot hand for the Rams. Like that's their whole ordeal. But Sony Michel has been the hot hand. He's seen the volume, and he should see the volume and continue to see the volume inside the red zone, which is something that I don't see happening for Henderson. I'm going to go with Sony Michel in this one. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. I think the Rams are going to see plenty of opportunities inside the red zone, and I think Sony Michel is going to be a primary beneficiary of that happening. Sony Michel over Michael Carter for me this week. Good luck, Jamie. All right, Julio Oliva playing to get to the championship. Oh, make sure you all get your questions in here, by the way. I see that we have a few more questions. Get these questions lined up. I don't care what questions are. I don't care if it's defensive questions. I don't care if it's, kicker questions. Get your questions in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. Playing to get to the championship. Have been with Lamar since draft. Picked up Taysom Hill, unfortunately. COVID, right? That includes Huntley. Now, JT getting bottled last night. He really needs advice because he has Ryan, he has Josh Johnson, he has Big Ben, or any other option. Now, Julio, I'm pretty sure you asked this question before I went on my rant with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but like I said, I think Big Ben does have a possibility of hitting that over this week of 248.5. If you have any kind of doubt in that, or you need to see a significantly more upside, which looks like you do, I'd probably fade Big Ben though, because I think that's right where his line is. Meanwhile, Matt Ryan has the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have been better as of late. They've been ultra competitive when it comes to some of these games. I mean, they are getting blown out, don't get me wrong, but they're not getting blown out nearly as bad as what they were at the beginning of the season. I think that this team is really getting behind Dan Campbell, and they've been playing a lot better defense as of late. However, if this game remains competitive, that's actually a good thing for Matt Ryan. Now, the best part about this for Matt Ryan is the fact that the Detroit Lions are extremely susceptible up against pass catch and running backs. You guys just heard me talk about the dump off containment efficiency score, the DOE score, right? And the Lions, I believe, are either second to last or third to last. Either way, they're very bad up against pass catch and running backs. So this is a Cordell Patterson special week. And Cordell Patterson has been done pretty much nothing over the past 2 or 3 weeks now. I think it's been 2. So look for Cordell Patterson to get back on track up against Detroit, and look for Matt Ryan to see at least 100 passing yards to him in this scenario. Now, what I like about this game for Matt Ryan as well, and this is not just like this isn't like a secret key or anything that's going to unlock anything. So don't go out and pick up Zacchaeus Olamides and think that he's going, or Olamides, and think that he's going to produce off the bat. However, the Detroit Lions allow, I believe it's bottom 10 in explosive play percentages. So they have struggled significantly. Meanwhile, their average depth of target depth, the average depth of target is hitting well above 10 for the majority of their defensive backs. The only 2 that they're not hitting is one of their safeties and their nickel corner, who they're still allowing at least 8 yards average depth of target, and still susceptible in that position. However, I think that Matt Ryan, with that pretty deep ball that he has, if he has time in the pocket to be able to launch the deep ball to Zacchaeus, or even to Russell Gage on some occasions where Russell Gage runs that deep slot route, or Kyle Pitts, if Kyle Pitts can get downfield and beat the corner, because obviously he's playing wide receiver, not tight end all the time, although he has seen an increase in snaps at the tight end position. I believe that Matt Ryan could have a couple big plays, passes over 20 yards, passes over 40 yards, to be honest with you. I think he sees at least 2 of those this week. So not only is he going to get the Cordell Patterson 100 yards, he's going to see a couple explosive plays. And right there alone, you're talking about probably close to 160, 180 yards off of one player and a handful of plays. I think he's going to see a couple touchdowns. Matt Ryan has the massive upside. I'm locking him in. All right, we got some questions coming in. Let's do this. Siri, are you eavesdropping? Dude, Siri just recorded my entire conversation that I've had with you guys. That's insane. All right. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Matt Ryan in this one. All right. As for Douglas's question, Merry Christmas, man. Need 1 for half-point PPR. Flex spot in the semi-championship round. Jalen Waddle at New Orleans. Miles Sanders at the Giants. Michael Carter at Jacksonville. Renfro at Denver. And Javonte Williams versus Las Vegas. All right. You actually have a very good option here. Like, all these are great, especially for half-point PPR. I'm going to go ahead and knock out Hunter Renfro versus Denver. I know he sees the volume, but Denver's very good in the slot. Meanwhile, we have who else was I going to knock out? Michael Carter versus Jacksonville I'm knocking out as well, just because I don't believe that either one of these guys have the upside that Jalen Waddle, Miles Sanders, and Javonte Williams have. So, with that being said, I think that Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders being in a touch share definitely hurts their position. Meanwhile, Waddle should see all the volume in the world. And you have a New Orleans team who's been struggling up against the pass. So this is how I'm going to order it. I'm going to say Jalen Waddle 1. They're not going to be able to run. I don't care what Duke Johnson did last week. I want the Dolphins to run. I hope the Dolphins run. I hope Duke Johnson makes it big time, right? But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they're going to use Jalen Waddle as the safety valve. He's going to see a ton of targets like he typically does. I'm going Jalen Waddle. Then I'm going to go Miles Sanders. Then I'm going to go Javonte Williams. But I like all 3 options. All right, JP, what's going on, man? DJ Moore, Gibson. He also has Jarrett Patterson. All right, so Gibson's out, I believe, unless you're asking about a different Gibson. I'm pretty sure that he's ruled out already. If you guys can help me out in the chat with this one, is Gibson out or is he in? I would not play Jarrett Patterson in this matchup. The Dallas Cowboys have been a phenomenal team up against the run as of late. They're shutting everybody down, but the biggest part is the usage in the passing game. They have, I believe, the 3rd best dump-off containment efficiency score amongst defenses on the season so far. They don't allow anybody to get any kind of receptions on them. Meanwhile, you could consider a ton of volume, but they're not going to give Jarrett Patterson 30 carries this game. He probably won't even hit 20. If he does, he's going to run into a brick wall the entire time. Washington is going to be forced to pass this game. Unfortunately, like I said, Jarrett Patterson is not going to be used in that position. And if it is Antonio Gibson, I probably would not play Antonio Gibson over DJ Moore at this point. DJ Moore is somebody that I'm probably going to be running out in a lot of places. I know they have somewhat of a tough matchup. I mean, Tampa Bay is susceptible up against wide receivers constantly. I hate the quarterback position for DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore would have been a top 5 wide receiver. That's right, a top 5 wide receiver on the season if he actually had a decent quarterback. I mean, he started that way with what's his name, with Sam Darnold. So I think that DJ Moore is somebody that I want to believe in this week. I think that if they have any chance of staying competitive in a divisional game, keep in mind that DJ Moore will have to be involved. I think they know that. I think that DJ Moore should see plenty of targets. And to my knowledge, there shouldn't be any issues with DJ Moore. Let me make sure there was no news coming up real quick. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. I just would rather be right than wrong. Yeah, he has a hamstring injury and he's officially active. So yeah, I'm going to stick with DJ Moore in this one. I'd like DJ Moore over Gibson. I think he offers better floor and upside. DJ Moore. All right. Yeah, Gibson is out. Thank you very much, Jamal. I see your question there. I will definitely get to you. All right. We have Madison, Kamara, or Jackson. I'm guessing that's Justin Jackson. Madison is somebody that I love this week up against the Rams. The Rams allow running backs to get not big time chunk yardage or anything, but they're allowing 2, 3, 4, 5 yard carries. They're allowing underneath routes to the running back and to the tight end position and to slot receivers who do not run deep routes. There's a reason why, Christian Kirk, I believe, struggled up against the Rams. I believe it was the last time before they played. They're very good at covering deep routes from the slot and deep routes from the running back, such as wheels and everything, but they'll let the running backs get a 5-yard reception, every so often. And I think that Madison should see a ton of volume in the passing game. Madison, for me, is almost like a must start this week. I think I have him ranked at like running back 15 or so. He's right up there. Meanwhile, Kamara, I mean, you can't really go wrong with Alvin Kamara in this matchup. I understand that they're playing, the Dolphins, who have been way better as of late, but he's going to see volume, right? He's going to see opportunities. And Miami is one of those better teams up against pass catching running backs. But I mean, who else do they have? Is there an update on Traquan Smith? Is he playing or not? I don't have that in front of me. See, I need an injury guy. This is tough to do a solo show, by the way. When you don't have a show sheet or anything, you're just running off the handles on this, trying to put it all together. But, man, I think I'm not going to do Justin Jackson because it could be Josh Kelly if he gets hot. I don't think that he will, but it could be Joshua Kelly. I'm going to fade Justin Jackson this one. I'm going to leave it between Kamara and Madison. And honestly, I think I'm going to go Madison because of the volume in the passing game and the efficiency that the Rams allow to the pass catching running backs over Kamara. But it's very, very close. And I hate to say, bench Kamara because he's your stud. You took him in the first round in order to get him this year. However, he's just not. It's just not there for me in this matchup. I'm going to go with Madison. All right, Javonte Williams or Miles Sanders. Hollywood Brown. What's going on, Charles, by the way? Hollywood Brown or DK Metcalf. All right, man. Hollywood Brown taking 14 targets for like 40 yards last week was absurd. Like, you would never expect that from Hollywood Brown. However, that's what happened. I don't think that he's going to be utilized in that way. But with Josh Johnson coming in, we don't really know what to expect. We'll expect a very, low efficient or high efficiency, but low yardage type game. Most likely that's what he offers. He also offers some rushing ability. So if Hollywood Brown is being used as that release valve, that safety valve player, I don't think that he's going to see those 14 targets that he saw last week. I don't even think he sees 7 on the week. I think I'm going to lean with Metcalf up against the struggling Chicago Bears, even though Metcalf is not seeing the targets. Russell Wilson hates him for some reason. I think this week is the week that it gets corrected. I'm going with that one. And I'm going to go with Miles Sanders up against the Giants over Javonte Williams. I still think Javonte Williams is good. And if you could figure out a way to get them both in your lineup, I would do that. However, Miles Sanders with the efficiency up against the Giants, I already brought up how he rushed for nine attempts for 64 yards, I believe, the last time that he played. I think that he's going to see double the carries on this, and you're going to end up with a 120-yard game, 130-yard game. And I think he's going to get utilized in the receiving game as well. I'm going to go with Miles Sanders and Metcalf, Charles. Those are my 2 picks. All right, we have Gibson. If we're talking about Antonio Gibson, I'm pretty sure he's out for this matchup. And even if he's not, I don't want to play him. Josh Palmer's a sneaky play without Mike Williams. We saw the volume that he could end up receiving. Now, Keenan Allen's going to blow up in this game, but I think Josh Palmer will still offer you a 4 catch for 75 yards. You're going to see double-digit points out of him. I'm going Palmer, unless I'm missing on a Gibson that is just escaping me, and it's a different one. All right, Mike, this is a great question. This is probably my favorite question of the entire show thus far. We have Ja'Marr Chase up against the depleted Baltimore Ravens secondary, where Antonio Brown up or on the same side as a completely depleted wide receiver corps for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man, oh man, Antonio Brown is going to get force fed, like open wide. Like he's going to have target after target shoved down his throat. I like Ja'Marr Chase, and honestly, was it last week or the week before that where he had the absurd interception drop where he should have had a touchdown, and we'd be talking about Ja'Marr Chase in a completely different way. But Ja'Marr Chase, he needs that touchdown. He needs that big play to happen, and I still think it could happen in this week. But I'd much rather take an opportunity on the volume from Antonio Brown with the depth of target that he's likely going to see. They're not going to move him into the slot. They're going to leave him into his role. He hasn't been practicing, he hasn't been playing, so they haven't had time to script up any kind of craziness where he's going to start playing the slot role in every single play. He still might see some slot snaps, by the way, which is a good thing because that will increase his volume. We're going to see a high average depth of target from Antonio Brown. The efficiency from him should be through the roof. I'm going to lean Antonio Brown pretty hot and heavy because I think he has not only the upside, but I think he sees a massive floor as well. All right, Mike, I think we answered this one for you. Yeah, we did. All right, Jamal, what's going on, man? How you doing? By the way, get your questions in the chat, of course. Oh, Charles said that Antonio Gibson's not. I don't think that Antonio Gibson plays this week. If he does, he's going to be played in a very limited snap role. So Ian said Antonio Gibson is optimistic to play. He's not out. Like I said, I don't like that matchup. Let me pull up real quick something. Last time he played Dallas, he had 10 carries for 3.6 yards, 2 targets, 2 receptions for 5 yards. He also lost a fumble. He gave you 3 points in that matchup against Dallas. They have his number dialed in. I'm not a big fan of Antonio Gibson in this matchup. Watching it last time, it was absolutely brutal. He's still in that matchup, played 68% of the snaps, which is pretty much on par for what he's played the entire season. Dallas is great up against pass catching running backs, like I brought up. That's why I don't like Jarrett Patterson either. Even if Gibson is out, I don't like Jarrett Patterson. I'm not on Gibson this week. I'm going pretty much any option except for Gibson. And I'm a Washington fan, by the way. I don't know if you guys see the Hogs right here. I'm a Washington fan. I don't like this matchup. I'm telling you all right now. I think that Taylor Heinicke is going to see north of 35 attempts, possibly 40 in this matchup. All right. So, Jamal, you're up. What's going on, man? Pick one as a flex. Alexander Madison, Justin Jackson, or Josh Jacobs. He has James Robinson as your RB2. James Robinson should absolutely be your RB2, possibly your RB1 if you need him. Josh Jacobs is in an interesting situation because he's seen the volume necessary to be workhorse. He's seen the role in the passing game, but Denver, they've been very good up against pass catching running backs on the season. The issue is Denver, I believe, has been more susceptible up against running backs in the middle as of late. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try and stall real quick because I just want to check out Denver over the past couple weeks. I'm right there. Denver on the ground has allowed 21 carries for 88 yards, so 4 yards per carry. Joe Mixon did not look good in that one. He was hurt. He was banged up. Meanwhile, Samaje Perine saw 4 carries for 30 yards in that one. Then we have Craig Reynolds, who put up 11 attempts for 83 yards against Denver. Week before that, we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who put up 54 yards in the ground. Terrell Williams had 20. They just haven't seen the same over the past few weeks. And I think it's because they've been overcompensating in the secondary to make sure that teams aren't able to pass on them. And that's cool with me. I'm down with that. But I think Josh Jacobs has a legitimate possibility. My concern is that the game script for this game runs super slow. And Josh Jacobs might play 80, 90% of the snaps in this one and see a massive workload. But then you end up with a total of 18 carries and 4 targets with 3 receptions. And that's not going to get you there up against Denver. You need to see the volume, and I don't think either one of these teams play fast enough for that to matter. So for that reason, I'm going Alexander Madison. I picked Josh Jacobs second over Justin Jackson. I still like Justin Jackson. I think he's just super, super risky for you to roll out in the playoffs. I know it's up against Houston, but I feel like that's even more of a reason for you to play Joshua Kelly over Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson's very fragile. Anytime that he sees a significant workload, he ends up getting hurt. And whether that's like injured, where he's out for multiple games, or just hurt and has to exit the game, I mean, like I just don't want to roll with Justin Jackson this one. He's just too risky for me. All right, PPR, CEH or Carter. Okay, I actually like CEH a lot in this matchup. I'm not a CEH guy. I was Jonathan Taylor for day one. I was laughing about people picking CEH. I hated CEH. I mean, he was behind in terms of like dynasty drafts where you have your rookie, running backs. It was Jonathan Taylor was my 1A, Deandre Swift was my 1B. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor is now 1 and Deandre Swift is 2. But at the draft, I would have taken either one at the 101. Then I had J.K. Dobbins, and then I had Cam Akers, and then I had CEH. So for me to pick CEH tells you like something's wrong. And what's wrong is the Steelers' defense. I mean, this is how many yards they've allowed to the running back in the past 6 weeks. 183 yards on the ground to the running back. 232 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns to the running back. We have 52 yards touchdown, not great, but still only 17 carries in that game. 191 yards and 2 touchdowns in week 12. 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. 227 yards up against the Lions and 2 touchdowns. Then we had like 76 yards, no touchdowns, 86 yards touchdown, 145 yards and a touchdown. I mean, they are just bleeding over there to the running backs. And CEH has a significant chance to jump ahead in this. Well, the Chiefs have a significant chance to jump ahead in this one and ride CEH and Darrell Williams. I like them both. I think they're both going to see north of 12 carries. And CEH could actually have this massive game that he has like once every like 4 or 5 games or whatever. This could be one of those games where he puts up 25 points. I love CEH for DFS. I love him for season long. Roll out CEH with confidence this week. I think he's going to smash. All right, we got another question from LX Mark. All right, we have pick 2, Marquise Brown, Thielen, or Cooper. All right, so Marquise Brown saw 14 targets last week. However, I don't want to rely on Marquise Brown moving forward with Josh Johnson at the quarterback, right? This is something that's where he's very conservative. He likes to have his receivers wide open, and he doesn't attempt a ton of deep balls unless it's at the end of a quarter or at the end of like a half, right? He'll take shots at the end of halves if he has limited time. It's weird. Josh Johnson's a very intelligent player, but he's very efficient. So I don't want to rely on Marquise Brown again in this one. It's a little bit tough, but Adam Thielen is coming back from injury. Now, talked about a little bit earlier, the Rams, they allow these slot receivers who play close to the line of scrimmage to get a ton of targets. So let them catch every single ball. We saw it with Randall Cobb, right? Even when Randall Cobb lined up on the outside, he still played close to the line of scrimmage, and he saw target after target after target after target. And he performed very well against the Rams. We've seen it almost every single time. They just get crushed by these guys underneath. But the Rams are okay with it because they don't want to give up the big plays. That's all they care about because they know that their offense can always stay ahead. And if they can make a drive stall out because they attempt too many passes and they're able to crowd these guys underneath, they're happy with that. They don't care about teams that are trying to move the ball. They just don't want to get beat deep. So Adam Thielen is in the perfect spot to be able to dominate this route tree, essentially, that could be allowed by the Rams. I love Adam Thielen this week as a sneaky play, and I think that he is almost a must start. He's very close to that. I think I have him ranked at like wide receiver 24, wide receiver 25 range. As for Cooper, Amari Cooper up against Washington, I want nothing to do with it. William Jackson was playing lights out. I believe Kenneth Fuller has been on the outside. He's been a little bit more susceptible because he is a slot guy. However, they had to move him to the outside, but the defense is playing amazing since week 6 or week 7. And after the bye week, they've been a whole different team. Like this Washington team has been great. So assuming that's Amari Cooper, not Cooper Kupp, I'm definitely locking in Thielen in this one. And I'd probably go with Amari Cooper for the touchdown upside that he offers over Marquise Brown, but those two are very close. I would look and see if you had somebody else in your roster you might want to run out, unless this is, wide receiver, like only wide receiver territory and your back wide receivers are trash. But yeah, Thielen for me is head over whatever it is up against or over top of Marquise Brown and Cooper. All right, we have Standard League, pick 2, J. Brown, Miles Sanders, and Patterson. All right, get Patterson out of there. Cordell Patterson. Since the standard league, that's what makes it tricky. I'm gonna go J-Rob, Miles Sanders. I don't hate Patterson in this one, but this could be a Mike Davis game. I like Patterson in the receiving game. I really do. But if you're not getting the PPR stats for Patterson, then what's the point? It could be Mike Davis just running the ball at the middle, Cordell Patterson on second and longs, third downs. I'm going to go ahead and take J-Rob and Miles Sanders in this one. All right, we're coming down to the end of the questions. So if y'all have any questions, make sure you get them in before we finish this show out. All right, Hertz or Burrow? Oh, man. Is there a chance that Hertz doesn't see any volume rushing or passing this week? I think there is. Meanwhile, Burrow, the Baltimore run defense is way superior to their pass defense. I know you should typically pick the running quarterback, and I don't think that Hertz is going to have a bad game. I'm going to go with Burrow in this one up against what I normally pick. I would probably say Hertz on most occasions, but I just love this matchup for Burrow. I think he's going to crush, and I think he's been playing a little more aggressive as of late. He's making some mistakes, and you kind of see this fire building in him, and he's been playing lights out after these mistakes. I don't think that he's going to make the same mistakes he normally makes, and I think he's going to come out with the same fire. I think we're going to see a different Burrow with the Bengals in playoff contention. All right, kicker question. I know it's dumb to even ask, but Bass outside or Koo in the dome? That's a good question, actually. I would refer you over to @Lindellians over there on Twitter for your future questions, just for the record. For this one, because of the game script, because of the dome, because of the elements, although I don't think it's too bad up there right now, I'm gonna go with Koo in the dome. I don't like the setting for Bass. I'm gonna go with Koo. Yeah, that's my lock. All right, Dallas D or Kansas City D. This is more in my realm. Kansas City, very good as of late. Ben Roethlisberger has been having some turnovers, but not nearly as many as Taylor Heinicke has. Taylor Heinicke is actually, I believe, top 3 in the league, or I should say bottom 3 in the league in turnovers per dropback, or turnover-worthy plays per dropback. Although he hasn't created the most amount of turnovers, he's still turnover-worthy. You see Micah Parsons coming off the edge. They're getting pressure on Taylor Heinicke with this battered offensive line. I think that Taylor Heinicke, like I said earlier, is going to throw 40 times. Anytime that you have a quarterback dropping back 40 times, I don't care who they are. They could be Patrick Mahomes. They could be Tom Brady. I want to take a chance on that defense for DFS purposes. Now, when you have somebody like Heinicke in there who's not Tom Brady, who's not Patrick Mahomes, who will throw more turnovers or will be more susceptible to turnovers, I'm going to go with that Dallas defense as a lock. Dallas defense over Kansas City, and it's not relatively close to me. I think Dallas could get you a touchdown. They're most likely going to have a minimum of 2 turnovers in this game. I'm going Dallas defense. All right, Rojo or Devonta Freeman at the flex. I don't like Rojo's upside in this game up against the Panthers. There's not much upside. Meanwhile, you don't have much with Freeman either, so I guess it's kind of even. Oof. With Latavius Murray getting more involved in the offense, I'm going to go Rojo because Rojo is most likely going to see the majority of the snaps. I think Le'Veon Bell is going to be playing third downs in this one. But Tampa Bay should be up, and Rojo should see the snaps necessary to be involved. All right. Forgot to mention I also have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Would you play Amon over Cooper, Marquise Brown? No, I wouldn't. Not with Boyle, Tim Boyle playing quarterback. I think Jared Goff is ruled out. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me check this injury report real quick, just to make sure. Was Goff never ruled out? Hey, if you know in the chat, let me know if Goff was ruled out or not. I'm trying to do a little bit of research real quick. Pretty sure that he was. Yeah, he's out. I'm going to go ahead and fade Amon-Ra St. Brown in this one. I don't think that he's – yeah, I knew that he was on COVID. I don't think he's playing. I'm gonna fade Amon-Ra St. Brown in this one. I'm gonna go with either Cooper or Brown. I'll take Cooper slightly over Brown, but I think it's close for either one. I think they're both flex options for sure. All right, Jamal, what's going on, man? Who to start, New Orleans or Buffalo defense this week? Dude, that's rough. Oh man, is there anybody else on your waivers that you can get? New Orleans, I don't really love their matchup for this week. Man, even Buffalo's matchup is going to be tough. They're just going to run the ball on them. You know what? Tua's been playing better as of late. They can't run. You're going to see a pass funnel defense. New Orleans is going to allow points to be scored on them, but I think they could actually force some turnovers as well against Tua. I'm going to go with the New Orleans defense over Buffalo this week. I just think that the Patriots are going to run the ball, and they're not going to give up a ton of turnovers. I don't think it's going to be relatively close. Buffalo defense. Yeah, so Frank brings up Madison going to be okay today. I love Madison in this one. I've talked about it quite a few times in the chat. The Rams allow pass-catching running backs to succeed against them because they don't care about giving up small plays underneath. Madison, for me, is very close to a must-start. I think I have him at RB15 on the week. All right, guys. That is going. Hey, Jamal, if you have anybody else that you can run out there on your free agent waiver wires, I'd look at. Let's see, Las Vegas D possibly. I would say the Atlanta defense, if they're out there, I would probably look into investing in them. Let's see. Jacksonville's defense is pretty interesting. I'm looking to invest in them. Philadelphia, of course. So there's some defenses that might be on the waivers for you, man. I would look into grabbing one of those guys over the Saints probably. But that's just me. All right. Yeah, let's get out of here, guys. I want to go watch some football. I want to go prep some of my lineups, and I have some more DFS lineups to build. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you go follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/fantasy intervention. Just because the season ends does not mean that we are going to. We have Dynasty content coming to y'all every Wednesday at a minimum. I'm going to try and get some rookie guys in here. And we also have some stuff going on with Trophy Smack. So make sure you guys tune in. youtube.com/fantasy intervention. Come check us out. Peace.